Hello everybody, my name is Austin. Welcome back to another movie review. Now real quick, I'm going to get off, straight away you can tell that the title is totally different, and, that's because what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a separate playlist only for reviews, and then maybe go into Let's Plays, and depends on just how I fucking feel. Now today's review is actually going to be very different, because I'm joined by my amazing partner, Noah.
Hello.
Alright, now Noah, we've been together for about going on 2 months now, real quick, why don't you tell us a little about yourself before we get started with this review?
I have no clue what to say about myself other than I like to listen to awful music and I like to play awful video games, but sometimes good ones. Sometimes.
On the rare occasion, just a few those little times. Now, real quick, yes, this is Death Stranding gameplay. I have used it before. Shut the hell up. At least you're getting a review.
It's footage that we got, okay?
Yeah, we didn't have
what's here.
We didn't have time for just shut up. Alright, we didn't have time. Now right off the bat, I will say this: we got back from seeing New Mutants and Bill and Ted 3 back to back.
Both were phenomenal. That's all I can say before we go into either of them. Both are phenomenal.
Underline, both are fucking amazing. Love them both. I think they're kind of both important in their own ways. We'll go into the Bill and Ted reason in a little bit. Right now, to kind of go off on our quick thoughts of the New Mutants. As you can tell by the thumbnail, the New Mutants was a movie we saw. We both loved it.
Now, before we talk any further, there is a major spoiler warning, because there will be spoilers of probably a lot of things, so...
Yeah, that's kind of like the whole, there's just so much, because with this movie, you can't really talk about it without spoiling it, right? Like, there's, so much.
Yeah, it's really tough not to spoil it if you're discussing really anything important about the movie.
Yeah, it'd be like a 5-minute video if it was just fucking, alright, no spoilers, it'd be like a 5-second video, really. So alright, want to go ahead and get into it?
Yeah, so... New Mutant starts off when a young girl, whose name I'm blanking out on, Danny. Her Native American reservation is attacked by something. There's fire everywhere, and the entire village is, as far as we know, it's gone.
Mm-hmm. And
then she wakes up. And what appears to be a hospital, there appears to be a doctor speaking to her.
I just threw a water bottle. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to throw you off your track here, bud.
And that's where the movie really starts.
Yeah.
I mean, beforehand, there's some important messages, but you don't really get to know that they're important until, like, a good halfway through the movie, maybe even further.
Mm-hmm. I know that right off it is an hour and 40 minutes long, so it's not that long for a superhero movie, to be honest. I was expecting a 2-hour.
It is definitely, in more ways than the length, unconventional than a superhero movie. It starts out with a very dark,
yeah.
This doctor is essentially telling her a tornado destroyed your village.
Everyone's dead. You're fucked. Like,
yeah,
they're all.
Everybody's
fucked.
Gone. Everything you love is gone. But you have to stay here.
Yeah, we're not gonna tell you. We're just gonna. You gotta stay here. And to me, I thought the beginning it painted the picture well, but at the same time, it didn't. Because with all the rewrites, because it was delayed I think like 6 times or something .
Yeah, and there's quite a few parts that, very early on, some of the characters seem really unlikable.
Yeah.
Mostly, I'm blanking out on his name.
Roberto?
Yes, mostly Roberto and, Ileana.
Yeah.
They both just seem really
terrible.
Crude. They don't seem like fun people to talk to.
Yeah. And I will say this real quick: the superheroes, they're the mutants that are in this. You got Ileana Rasputin, magic. You have Roberto, which is Sunspot. Then you have Sam, who is Cannonball, which I had no idea. Then you have Rain. I forgot her superhero name. I think it's like a wild beast. I forget it. It's she turns into a werewolf.
She's a wolf.
But it's female beast. That's all it is. And then you have Danny Moonstar, which I think her superhero name is Moonstar. I'm blanking out.
I honestly have no clue, and that's a surprise. I really like the X-Men, but it's a really interesting cast of superheroes.
Yeah, because like for me, it's like it makes sense why they went with some of them. Like Magic, obviously makes sense why they went with her, and, you know. But it's like, why Cannonball? And I guess, you know, the whole his backstory is very interesting. But why Sunspot for me? Well, why him? Because they do change the origin a bit in this, or I mean,
yeah.
But they also kind of like, I didn't know this about mutants. Apparently, like when they hit puberty, then their powers start showing.
Yeah, it explains a little bit towards the beginning that mutant. You could go up to, like, I think 14 years of your life without knowing you're a mutant.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, your powers just start uncontrollably coming out.
Yeah, which is why this facility is here to help you. But, I mean, you know what happens.
We'll have to go into the middle part to discuss that. Which, by the way, there's a lot that happens.
Yeah, I mean, they're really... Because, like, the middle would be, like, probably where the nightmares start happening, right?
Yeah, I think it might be like a little bit before that. Basically, they start going and doing troublemaker things. They start hanging out late.
Yeah. And
doing things they're not supposed to. And you start to learn about a lot of the characters. You also start to like some of them.
Yeah.
Especially, I loved Sam. I loved Cannonball.
I did have an issue with... The only issue I had was that... I forgot what his actor... The actor's name was Charlie something. He was in Stranger Things. He plays Will's brother, I believe that's who goes missing. He plays Will's older brother. And for me, honestly, I thought his accent was a little too thick.
Yeah, but I also understood... I mean, he's a good coal mining boy, you know. He worked for his pa. You know what kind of boy he is.
Yeah, kind of folk. Which it just for me, it's like it really sounded weird hearing it from that actor who because I've seen all of Stranger Things, and it's kind of just weird seeing him go from this to this. And honestly, I thought they were going to recast him after all the drama that because you know about that, right?
I actually don't.
So he was caught in an airport with a luggage case full of cocaine.
That is that is wild.
Yeah, and like just full of cocaine. So it's like whatever.
You know what? I enjoyed his casting and I loved him as a character.
Oh, no,
so if he's on coke, then
so be it. At least he's not. At least he's not doing worse.
There is worse, but please stop doing coke.
Right? Seriously. But I know that was one of the reasons why it was delayed was because he was getting help and whatnot, and he was jail time. But I'm pretty sure I haven't looked up to see what actually happened, but he's good now.
But yeah, I loved him.
yeah, his character's Cannonball was great.
But once the nightmares start happening, that it doesn't quite explain, but every time it shows that the main character Danny's psionic levels or whatever it called it on the security cameras is rising. People start having basically nightmares, but in real life.
Yeah, it very Nightmare on Elm Street vibes from it, like total. I mean, oh man, I'm blanking out on the director's name, but I really want him to do a Nightmare on Elm Street. I think he could do a good job.
Actually, could be beautiful,
right? Because like. Real quick, there is a really cool romance in this between Danny, main character Danny, and Rain, who essentially her power she can turn into a wolf. She can also stop mid-transformation, so she's kind of like a werewolf, like a hybrid between the two. But they are a lesbian couple in this, and it is really cool because I heard that there was an LGBTQ relationship in this. I didn't expect it to be between them two.
It's also, in my opinion at least, it doesn't feel super forced. It feels like it feels like those characters felt for each other.
For real. You really got that. I mean, with them both being there, you just got that nice chemistry going on, you know? Thought it worked really well.
But once these nightmare-like situations start happening, you start to find out that every single character that is in that facility, other than Dr. Reyes, who is the only doctor in the facility, has an incredibly tragic backstory.
Yeah, and I really like that. They really went into, because it starts off with Sam, Cannonball, So I start with him, and then it goes to goes into Rain, and then Roberto, and then Magic, and then because Danny, you find the opening scene is her backstory, which I will get into that as we get closer to the end because I just thought of something.
I think I know what you thought of, and I'm pretty sure it's completely true.
Right. But like everyone has their own moment. Like Sam, he was in the he worked out in the coal mines with his father because he was forced to. Because they needed money. You need money, man. And so with that, Sam's like vision is that like he's in the laundry room and then he turns around and like walks down this hallway and like there's like a whole like miners like area. Everyone's doing their mining stuff, and then like at the end of the hallway is his dad, but like as Sam walks further down the hallway, these miners just look at him and these huge spotlights are just in his eyes. Gets to his dad, you kind of see over his shoulder and he's mining out blood, and blood starts flowing through the walls. Then the father turns over and his face is like blood dripping out his eyes and all, and like it's really dark for a PG-13 movie.
Now is a very good time to mention that almost every serious, like deeper, actiony or intense scene in this movie is incredible. It's darkly lit. It uses a lot of dark colors. There is a lot of blood in this movie.
There is.
There's even some body horror in Magic's backstory almost.
No, that's full on. I love even Roberto's.
Yeah, there's some really freaky moments.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially coming from a superhero movie. It is I love it.
And that's one thing I will say, like I see a lot of reviews saying that like it would have been cool like a few years ago. But I think it's still cool now. It's really refreshing. And the only reason why it's like, oh, okay, like people are kind of skipping out on this movie is because I honestly think it's because movie theaters are just now opening, they're getting used to it. But I think now is like probably one of the best times to have open because movie theaters are opening up. The only thing I think they could have done is had it released on demand as well, like Bill and Ted did.
Even if they had to go through a streaming service, they're owned by Disney now.
Yeah.
They could have done what the live action Mulan is going to do, where you can pay. Of course, I would hate that. I hate that business practice entirely. But they could have done it, and it probably would have brought slightly better, opening night numbers.
Yeah, for sure. But like Sam's is in the miners, and then who am I thinking? Roberto, his whole backstory is that like when he gets too excited or overfilled with emotions, his sunspot he activates, his powers activate, and so when he was holding his girlfriend,
getting intimate with his lady,
and he burned her alive with his bare hands, So, so you got that one, and then Magic. Hers is...
Which, by the way, you get to see in his nightmare scene, his girlfriend's charred corpse.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God, it is...
Come from the pool, and it's just like... Because, like, the whole thing is he's swimming with Magic in the pool, It's during their mischievous night, And, while they're doing so, Magic, because her powers are... she can teleport one of her many powers. And so in this, she's like, okay, you have to find me first. And then she teleports into the water. And then, like, Roberto's, like, looking around. And then he just feels these hands. And, like, the camera's, like, in the back of him. You see this black charred hand go up his back. And then it runs down. It's, like, cutting his back. And then, he turns around. And it is his ex-girlfriend just screaming at him. And it's such a good scene. Oh, my God. Like, it's such a... Because, like, there's so many times I forgot this was an X-Men movie.
It's not like almost any other superhero movie I've ever seen in general.
Yeah.
Especially X-Men, but I do feel like the whole like strength in the face of trauma, of adversity theme fits X-Men incredibly well. If they were going to do a freaky superhero thing, X-Men is the way to go, in my opinion.
For real, like, because how like each X-Men like iteration that comes up, you have like you have like the first 3 X-Men, which or the first 4. I forgot about first 3, right? Because it's X-Men 1, 2, and then Last Stand, right?
Oh yes.
Yeah. So it's like the first 3 X-Men. They have their own feel to it. Then you have First Class, Days of Future Past, and then Apocalypse, and then now you have this one, which, then you have Logan, which is in its own spot, and then you have New Mutants, which is it's in its own spot too. It could have very well fit with Logan, but a few things. But it has its very own unique feel to it, and I really like that. But back to the movie. I'll go more into that later. But and then with magic, hers is just purely interesting. And
I would really love to see more of what her backstory is exactly. Because there are like Slender Man like men in suits who wear these smiling face masks. It's really intriguing, and it's really unfortunate that they don't go into who that was exactly, other than the fact that she discovered her powers to find a safe place.
Yeah, which allowed her to teleport and all that. I have my own theory as to who that because like the man we're referring to is like all the ones in the fucking trailers that all pop up that are honestly only in it for like 5 minutes in the movie. Really well done 5 minutes. I think there could have been a little bit more of that.
Well, I wouldn't say because it shows up a few times and like a few little flashbacks, and then there's one big scene.
Yeah. But it's like all in all, it'd be like maybe I'd say about 8 minutes total you get screen time with those guys, which I wish it could have been maybe a full 10 or 15.
But they are definitely freaky.
Yeah. My theory about it is on these people, when you first see them in the trailers, they don't show them. In the trailers, they show them wearing robes. Well, in the actual movie, they're wearing button-up shirts with pants, and they have like these tattoos that go from their hands all the way up to their necks. So since Ileana is from Russia, I kind of put two and two together. At least I don't know if this is true. I kind of guessed this, but my guess is her father, or maybe even she was kidnapped by the Russian mob or something like that, because Ileana's backstory is that she killed 18 people, 18 men specifically, and then she was put in this institution. My guess is she killed an entire like certain gang of the Russian mob.
It's also worth mentioning that she does specifically say in one scene, "I've seen men who like to put girls in cages before," something along that line.
Yeah. So it's like you can probably put two and two together. I mean, like human trafficking, anything, like. So I think, and like a message in this movie in the very beginning, when Dr. Reyes is talking to Danny, she says, "Trauma will show itself in different ways," or something like that. Like something traumatic will happen, and we will think something totally different happened. And so my guess is the reason why these guys look like monsters is because she saw these people as monsters. Because she was, when she was a little girl. And then so that's my kind of guess behind it. That's why they look the way they do. And that like seeing her in pain made them happy, So it's kind of just like slowly putting things together. But they don't really confirm who these guys are. But you get the very good hunch as who they are.
Which brings us towards the part where by this point in the film, that Danny, the protagonist, is the one causing the nightmare-like manifestations. Which, by the way, I think we skipped over
Rain. Yeah, I was just about to say that. We can't forget about little Scottish girl Rain, man.
That's, oh my god, I feel
phenomenal. She's my favorite character.
She gets attacked by a very intimidating-looking Catholic clergyman, a priest of some sort.
Because like with her origin, or do you want to say hers or?
Her origin, basically, she loved running through the woods in her wolf form, and she confessed that to the priest at her local church, and the priest began to call her a witch, a lot of awful things basically. And you discover later that she was branded on the shoulder with a W.
And then also, when the priest found out, he nearly beat her to death. And when doing so, she went into...
Yeah.
What I'm imagining is wolf form, and then...
She did kill him.
Yeah. And, no, but yeah, this is, at this point in the movie, when you find all the... Like, especially when you see the priest specifically in that one scene... or not in that scene, but when you first kind of find out about the priest, it is when Dr. Reyes is experimenting on Danny. And Danny is like kind of passing out, losing control of her powers and all that, because her powers are controlled by her emotion, obviously. Excuse me. And so, we kind of see that, Danny, excuse me, Danny is like the main cause of all these like all this trauma coming back up to fucking haunt these kids again, and then so kind of leads us like to our end, a little bit here. So the whole thing is Real quick, fucking Dr. Reyes works for Essex. Essex, that's what it was. Which is the people who did the Weapon X program, and they, like, in the movie, you see Dr. Reyes specifically taking some of Danny's blood, and you see, like, only one other vial in the case. They don't say whose blood it is, but there is one vial in there.
And now is a good time to mention that Dr. Reyes has seen Danny as a threat to everyone.
Yes.
And has decided that she wants to put her down.
Yeah.
Which is really fucked.
Yeah.
It is so fucked.
Because, like, we see, like, what Danny's probably 18, maybe.
Yeah, I'd say, like, at the oldest, she's supposed to be around 18.
Yeah. And so you got this little, I say little girl, I'm the same age as her, probably. But you have this girl who doesn't know what's going on, is terrified of what's going on, and then is about to be murdered for something that isn't even her fault, you know, because she doesn't know what's going on, and it's, like, very, like, oh, man. But, my mind went blank. As that's happening, Danny gets wheeled off in this thing to do more tests, in heavy quotes. So you kind of get the idea, you know, all right, they're gonna kill her, you know. So everyone's sent to their rooms, kind of, or you know, everyone's doing their own thing. Rain was in the shower, Danny and Sam were cooking or cleaning, and then Magic was in her room because she kind of had a, like, slap in the face, a little mental breakdown after her and Danny got in a fight, you know.
She was also locked in solitary multiple times.
Yeah. Solitary, what we can guess, there is a clip we don't see in the trailer, just when the faces come out the wall. Right? That's not seen in the movie?
I don't think that scene was in the movie.
So we're guessing that only when you're put inside these walls that you see these terrible, like these walls aren't... I know for Magic, she sees the smiling men.
But I feel like that's more to do with Danny's power
than
it is the solitary room itself. But
well, even before, like when Danny and her were both put into solitary, Magic was saying, oh, you know, just don't think about it. The smiling men won't get us. Let's just go to our happy place, or go to our place. To our place.
My whole theory about that is that because it did show Danny starting to freak out, I think that she was Magic was concerned that she would have some kind of, like, she would start to go crazy in solitary because she's already a little she talks to her hand puppet, stuff like that. So I think she was worried that she would start to hear these men from her past or something again, but I think Danny being there made them manifest.
Excuse me. Yeah, for sure. You know, so everyone's doing their respective thing. Danny gets wheeled into this back room that's, like, really hidden, and then we my mind's gone blank.
Well, this is right after all of the nightmares, so everybody's rushing to find each other, and the only one they can't find is Danny. So at this point, Rain goes to find Danny.
Oh, yeah. Rain goes to find Danny, and she hears Danny screaming because of her wolf ears, so she's like, oh, shit. She just sprints off, and then she sees Dr. Reyes about to kill her, about to inject her with whatever she is going, you know, to put in her.
All the while, the smiling men are attacking Sam.
Oh, yeah, we can't forget. Yeah.
They're attacking every other person
who isn't Danny.
Yeah.
Who isn't Danny and Rain they're attacking. So they're off doing their thing because Sam and Magic are running away because Magic is freaking out because she can't do this. You know, like, these are the manifestation of her fear. She's fucking terrified of this. She just can't do it. So, but you know, so, like, Rain is like, come on, we can do it. And then so we see,
which I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that scene is beautiful because it shows them starting to learn to control their powers simply because they have to.
Yeah, they're put into the situation where it's, alright, like, enough shitting around, you gotta, like, control them now or you're gonna die.
And honestly, the first time I saw Cannonball use his power, like, properly and not slam into something, oh my god, I love him so much.
It's so cool, man. Like, oh man, because, like, with Magic, I did have an issue with her. We'll go into it a little bit later, but basically, short answer is she uses her power a lot, like, frequently, and it makes, because, like, when she comes back and she's ready to fight these people, you know, because she teleports away and then teleports back, They have this really like slow motion scene of her, like her arm, like the metal going down her arm and forming, and her sword starting on fire. And it's supposed to be like a superhero shot, you know, but it kind of doesn't mean anything when you've already seen this like throughout the entire movie of her powering up.
Yeah, it just hadn't had that close up and that slow motion of it, but she's done it at least 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, there's no oomph behind it. It's not like, yeah, we're gonna see magic. It's like, oh, okay, cool slow mo shot. Pretty CG, you know. But anyways, and then so right before Dr. Reyes is about to inject Danny with chemicals to kill her, fucking Rain comes down from the ceiling vents, because previously in the movie, forgot to say, she likes to crawl through the vents. Little vent gal. So basically while she's doing that, she sees Dr. Reyes, jumps down and starts clawing her face open, just starts going at it.
Oh, it is brutal.
It's really gory for a PG-13. There's even like a few F-bombs, and they use bitch a lot in this movie.
There is a lot of blood.
There's a lot of blood. So Rain is like tearing up her face, you know, like just fucking killing it. And then Dr. Reyes stabs Rain in the leg, pulls out, you know, they fall down. Dr. Reyes runs off. Rain helps Danny up. Rain is a little sleepy gal because she was put under with some what do you call it?
Anesthetic.
Yeah, anesthetic. That's what it was. So you know, he picks her up. You know, they go off. You know, whatever. I know we're really like cutting like every little bit of the movie. You know, like which is something that I haven't done before, but I guess to me it makes for a better format. So sorry if this is annoying to some people, but it helps me keep track of the review.
I mean, personally, at least, it's hard not to gush.
Right? I mean, it's a great. Oh man, it's a good movie. So as the movie goes on, you know, shit happens with the, with the smiling people and all that. They have this really cool fight scene, you know, Magic killing all of them with their badass sword. And then it gets to where they all form up back together, and they need to find Dr. Reyes. And she says over the microphone, but something about responsibility, how it is your responsibility to take this treatment to control your powers, which in reality, after the treatment, what happens is they go to the same laboratory that in Logan, the kids have been tested on, and they even show a little bit of that footage in Danny's, she has some vision, and they show that in the actual movie, which I thought was really cool. But yeah, so like that's how like the movies are connected. It's connected to Logan more than it is the actual X-Men universe, which we'll get into all that later. But
all the while, by the way, as Dr. Reyes is announcing these things over the intercom, Rain is using her little wolf cow nose to sniff out Dr. Reyes with her little blood trails.
There's even like a really cool line that they have in there where it's like where I think it's Magic who asks like, you know, how do you know where she is? And she's like, I'm a good sniffer. And then Dr. Reyes is like in the corner, all bloody, like hiding behind the curtain. She's like, and a good hunter, and like turns off the intercom and slowly stands up, all fucking bloodied up.
Oh yeah. At that point, she realizes that all of these kids want to kill her.
Yeah.
And she puts them all under a force field.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, she is a mutant too, and her ability is to put force. She has an entire force field around this facility that keeps them from leaving, and she has all of these kids at this moment surrounded by a force field, which seems to be draining them, or at least squashing them, because it puts Danny back to sleep.
Because I think it's like taking away their oxygen. I think that's right, because the forces get more compressed.
At that point, something that's mentioned at the beginning of the movie comes back. Danny, throughout the movie, she refers to these 2 bears, mostly one, but it's from Native American folklore. You have 2 bears inside yourself. One is a manifestation of all good things within yourself, and one is a manifestation of all bad things within yourself.
They mainly refer to fear. They mainly say fear, which is like, okay, but I just want to point that out. They really hard focus on the fear aspect to it.
Every later time they mention the bad bear, I will say it's called the demon bear. And at this point, something penetrates this force field around the facility, and Dr. Reyes turns around, and then a fucking giant demon bear crunches through.
Fucking, yeah, breaks down the wall, and it just starts munching on Dr. Reyes.
And I mean, this thing is like a pure shadow. It is.
Yeah.
Oh
it's
my.
a good, like, 30 seconds that you hear Dr. Reyes screaming and the bear going, like, nom 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 nom. And, like, it pans to the kids, to the bear for, like, quite a bit, back to the kids, and then one more time back to the bear finishing up Dr. Reyes. And it's like, goddamn. Like, it gets really gory and dark for a PG-13 movie.
Of course, by that point, the kids are completely out of there. They're
they fucking
running.
Book it. And with that, when they do book it, they go outside, and Magic's like, all right, I'm gonna fight this bear,
and
let's do
that's
this.
when the big fight scene of the movie starts.
Yeah, this is like the only huge act, because like mainly towards the end of the movie, you get this huge action scene, which is done really well. And
the entire, like, right before the climax, and slightly into the resolution is the most high intensity. It is nonstop. Something major is happening.
Yeah. And, like, so you see Magic, and, like, because, like, throughout the movie, she has a little hand puppet that is her, in the comic books, her signature pink dragon that she always has with her, or purple dragon, I mean. Well, when she goes into her safe space, she teleports. It's limbo. She goes into limbo. When she comes out of it, she has her little dragon buddy with her, and it's like a real dragon, and she's like, it's cute as fuck, and she talks to it.
Oh, it is adorable.
And, like, so while she's, like, fighting, she's, like, jumping all over, like, stabbing in the back, the little dragon up. I forgot the name, but the dragon's there breathing fire in its face. So everyone runs to this chapel, and they all hide, And then Cannonball, before they go in, he's like, I'm gonna go help her. We can't just leave her there. And then, so, there's, okay, cool, whatever. So Sunspot, Danny, and Rain all hide in the chapel.
And at this point, all of the other kids know that it's Danny causing this, and they're trying to wake her up because she's fallen back under the anesthetic due to lack of oxygen from the whole force field thing.
Yeah.
So they're trying to wake her up.
Yeah. One thing I did find interesting, because, like, when they were killing the smiling guys, they were, like, disappearing, right? They kind of, like, disappeared.
Yeah,
But with the demon bear, when Cannonball, he goes and, like, punches it in the face, like, a tooth flies out. So it's like, is that because it's such, like, is that because, like, she's using her power so much, like, that it's, like, a real manifestation and not just, like...
That's the best thing I could think, or until the manifestation is defeated, all of its parts stay.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
That's that's the only two little theories I could put out.
Yeah. And then, Cannonball and Magic are fighting the demon bear, and then so you have Rain, who is holding Danny in this a confession booth. Excuse me.
And the demon bear discovers Danny's location.
Yeah, he, like, chomps through the ceiling, and he, like, sees them, pokes a little bear eye through it, and then, like, fucking roars into it and starts getting into it. And like,
Sunspot joins in on the massive fight that's happening at this point.
Yeah, Sunspot's fucking badass.
Of course, he's really cowardly compared to all of the other.
Yeah.
Because at this point, if I remember right, it was Magic who had to tell him, well, aren't you gonna fight it, or like you can't just run, or something along those lines.
It was
or was
Sam.
It Sam?
He was like, grow a pair of balls, or so he just like yells something along the lines of that, or like grow a pair, and then he like gets up and he's like, whew, and goes all Sunspot, which is amazing. It's great. And then so he uses his he doesn't really use his power against it. He's kind of just uses his super strength instead of his fire. So he picks up a whole row of seats.
Yeah, I don't remember the name.
Yeah, he picks up that, starts beating the bear with it, and then of course they all get beat. They're all like, it's the all is lost moment.
At that point, you get to see what's going on in Danny's head, basically.
Yeah, through this whole thing, it's like flashing to Danny's head and whatever, and then at the final thing, you see Danny's father, who talks to Danny, and
who, by the way, is the only person you get to see like explicitly get killed in the beginning scene when her village is destroyed. You see he goes to go help other people, and then you see his corpse fly towards her.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna go help people, stay there, Danny. And then you hear like, no, and then poof, and then gets like thrown over, and it's all bloodied, and it's like, oh fuck, dude, that's insane. Anywho, so father, which he looks very familiar. I know it's not, but he looks like, what's his name? Oh, damn it, I forgot his name. He looks like the He looks like the first bad guy from Breaking Bad. I forgot what his name is.
Help you there.
Yeah. Damn, I forgot his name. But he looks a lot like him. I don't think it is, because I'm pretty sure they get a real Native American actor, which I don't think the Breaking Bad guy is. He could be. I could be totally fucking wrong. Anyways, just look like him. Kind of thought it was weird. And no, the screen is not frozen. Real quick, I just realized my dumbass just left it fucking playing while it was paused. I didn't stop. So.
This is gameplay, and you will enjoy it.
No cutting down for anyone. You're watching this whole thing. But basically, so after they take down, or after like Danny, she finally wakes up. She calms the bear down, and she finally confronts her inner fear and all that, and finally
she wakes up, and literally the first thing she says is no. Yeah, and the bear is just kind of like almost shook. He's just kind of like, what?
Excuse me?
And then I forget what she says again.
Stop it.
Yeah, and it's no. It starts to calm down, and she gets it to calm down completely.
Yeah. It's very like telling a dog to stop it, like no,
yeah,
stop. I just thought of her being like no, no.
And I mean, of course, it's a direct representation of her facing her fears.
Yeah, and of course you get this kind of like hiccup and toothless first meeting. Like she puts her hand on his nose and then starts rubbing it, and she's like, "It's okay now. You don't have to be. It's cool. You're good."
And then he's gone.
Yeah. And then the mutants find out that the force field hasn't been taken down. And they join forces together, and they head off into town, and the movie ends.
Yep, and that brings me into a little bit of a theory. I completely forgot what it was. Oh, wait. Well, it's not even a theory. It's completely confirmed, but you don't know it until the bear shows up and destroys Dr. Reyes. The village being destroyed, that whole thing, because Dr. Reyes says it's a tornado. It's obvious the first time watching it's not a tornado.
Yeah.
There are explosions. There is chaos. You hear something stomping, something massive. And
it was the bear.
You finally find out at the end of the movie that it was this demon bear that her dad told her was a manifestation of all things bad within herself.
Yeah, because the movie starts up with her waking up from a nightmare. Or from what we can assume is a nightmare, which would be the demon bear, which leads her... So, essentially she killed her entire village and her father, And
that also leads us into the other thing. Everyone had a traumatic backstory that ended in them killing somebody.
Right?
Accidental or intentional. Magic's is heavily implied to be intentional.
Oh, they straight up tell you it's intentional.
Every other person's was accidental, except for maybe Reyes, but even that, it's 100% self-defense.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I know, I kind of want to see, like, in your opinion, what was your, who was your favorite character to the whole movie?
My favorite character would have to actually be Rain.
Yeah. Oh man, she's great.
She's a sweetheart. She's a good Irish girl. I
thought she was Scottish.
I feel like she's Irish just because she's a redhead. That's the only. But even then, that can be a Scottish thing too. So.
But no, yeah, Rain easily takes the cake for me. She's this. I just want to give her a hug. She looks like she's always about to cry. I just want to give her a big old hug.
But by the end of the movie, you love everybody.
Oh no, yeah, you get to, because at first Magic, I didn't like her writing at first because she was just kind of just being mean for the sake of being mean. Like why? It makes no sense.
Yeah, and later on, once Danny gets a vision and finds out what's been going on with her. She really, she lets her guard down around her fellow, I guess you would say, experimentees.
Yeah.
She really calms down. She stops being so rude. She's still pretty rude.
Yeah.
But she stops being so
more sassy
rude.
than
Yeah.
But every character gets a character arc, and which I thought was great. Each of them confronting their abilities, because no one in this thing, no one wants their abilities. Maybe Magic, I get the hint that she probably does. No one really wants their abilities.
In a way, it's the perfect X-Men film.
Yeah, I mean, Of course, we love part 1 and 2. Yeah, we love. But this to me is easily up. I mean, fucking like Logan is like number 1 for me. I think this one can easily take number 2 or 3 for me. I really enjoyed it.
That's. I mean, as long as you're not counting the Deadpool movies, I'd say the same thing. Honestly,
I guess we would count the Deadpool movies, but even then, I'm not a huge fan of part 1.
Really?
I
think I prefer part 2. I don't know why. I just like part 1.
I like part 1 too. Don't get me wrong. I think I like part 2 more because you got like Cable, you got Juggernaut,
yeah.
You got like Josh Brolin as Cable. Like, oh man, it's fucking great. But but back to New Mutants. They did kind of leave it open for a sequel, but I think that was because I was gonna say I think it's because the movie was finished writing before the X-Men and Disney deal, but actually. It wasn't. They've been through countless reshoots, and
I still feel like I don't know. I'd like to hope that they'll let Fox do a sequel. They'll let the remaining team do a sequel.
I don't think so.
But I also feel like the only reason they even put the movie out was because they had promotion before Disney bought Fox.
Yeah.
Because it is by all means a dark superhero movie.
It is in no way a Disney movie.
It's really easy to forget, like, halfway through the movie that it is a superhero movie. And it starts to feel almost like a, thriller.
Yeah, it really feels like I don't know if you've seen it. I haven't seen it yet, but I get the vibe from the trailers or whatever. I really feel Brightburn vibes from it, which is it's no way connected to Marvel or DC, but it's just a good. It's a horror. I'll put quotes in horror because it's not really a horror movie. It's supposed to be, but it's not. You just get the vibe it's supposed to be a horror movie, but also with superheroes in the horror, but that's not the main focus of it, Excuse me.
It is definitely freaky, though.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of cool parts. For me, I kind of saw a lot of the things coming only because I watch constant horror movies. Like, I was like, oh, jump scare, oh, this, and that. Well, there's not many of those, but it's like, this is setting up a shot for a creepy scene shot, but I did love it.
I, however... did not see everything coming. I fell for almost every jump scare in the movie. Especially, oh my god, when Sunspot's charred girlfriend, like when he turns around to see her, and he thinks it's magic touching his back, and he turns around and sees his charred, dead girlfriend.
Yeah.
That... I levitated out of my seat. I promise I didn't jump. I just floated there.
Woo. And it's like, what the fuck? I'll look over at you. What the fuck's going on? Try to push it down. I was like, freaking stay down. God damn, I'm trying to watch a movie. Whoa, keeps falling up. Yeah, so like Rain for both of us, I think, is probably our best character, our favorite character.
Oh yeah, Rain was beautiful, but they all had amazing character arcs.
Yeah. The writing is kind of weird, though.
The writing...
The pacing.
Yeah, in my opinion, it should have been a 2.5 hour long movie.
I think it should have been a 2-hour movie. Or maybe even like an hour 50 minutes. Like, get a little extra 10 minutes just to get a little bit more of that. Because it is kind of a slow burn movie, but it kind of happens like once you get to the middle, bam, 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 and then the ending, so it's sort of like slow beginning, kind of speedy middle, and the end is just like a fucking like AK-47 going like going off. I think maybe the extra 30 minutes maybe would have.
Yeah, that's definitely the biggest issue though, and it's not the biggest issue in the world. It is still a fine movie.
It kept me entertained all the way. It kept me going like, what's gonna happen? Who is Dr. Reyes? Who's she working for? This isn't like it always kept me going like, what's this person's backstory? What's going on here?
Every major reveal feels big the first time you watch it. I haven't rewatched it yet, but it feels big the first time you watch it.
I think for me, finding out that Dr. Reyes works for the Weapon X program, I think that is the biggest one for me that I was like, oh, no way!
And it's really, because like the beginning she's presented as this sweet doctor,
Yeah.
And then it kind of slowly, she's talking about how they need to learn responsibility. They need to learn to, I forget what the exact term it's something about following orders or
be obedient.
Yeah. And then it starts to seem a little fishy, and then it just hits you in the face.
Yeah.
She just decides at one point, I'm going to put Danny down.
Yeah,
and then you find out like it was either right before or right after that she was working for the Essex Foundation or
you find out when she gets the message to kill Danny, because after that she didn't want to put in the code. Then it says the Essex logo, or what was it again? I'm sorry, you just said it. I'm sorry.
Essex.
You just get that logo popping up, and it's like, oh, okay, cool, and, Essex company, whatever, and then you find out working with Arkham X, this and that. My only thing is, though, it's like, a sequel would have been so, because, like, they're really setting up magic. They're really setting up magic.
Please watch this movie so they will make a sequel.
I mean, it's not, like, because, like, for honest, we saw it, a Good Saturday. It's a good Saturday, just superhero movie. Like, if you're just having a bad week, go watch it. It's a good movie.
It's a good thriller.
It's really good. Oh man, it's a good movie all the way through.
I would definitely, if we're throwing ratings out, I'm gonna have to give it like a 7 to a 7.5. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being the worst. I'd probably give it a 6.5, maybe even maybe an even 7, maybe a good 7. I did have quite a bit of issue. Like, I think honestly the weakest character is Dr. Reyes, like, only because like you don't really see her. It's mainly focused on the New Mutants, and like it's mainly focused on them and their origin, which I get. But bring a little stuff to Dr. Reyes. Like, why is she the only person here? Like, why is this? Like, give her more of an explanation, which is why I think an extra 30 minutes could have been good, possibly setting up this whole foundation. But maybe part of the mystery is not knowing who the fuck set up this foundation.
I feel like the director wants to make a sequel. Yeah. Because he left enough open that if enough people start questioning it, they'll have to, basically.
Yeah, I mean, man, it was such a good time in the theater. I haven't been to a theater since I saw, what was it? Oh, let's see here. Since I saw, I don't know what was my last movie.
It's been a while.
Yeah, definitely. Spider-Man Far From Home was the last movie I saw in theaters. Good movie, all right. But, so it's been a while, so this is just a really good way to get started. And I really think Bill and Ted 3 kind of helped with us that too. We'll get into that later.
That'll be a different video. We're going on 45 minutes here. That'll be a different video.
Yeah. This is pretty lengthy. Bill and Ted 3, we won't dissect every little bit of it like we did here.
Bill and Ted 3, I promise it'll just be a review. It won't just be a full discussion.
Yeah. I know eventually I do want to do a video talking about essentially where Marvel should go from here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because like even in this movie, the title screen is in association with Marvel. It's still not under the Marvel logo, which is interesting. I thought it was weird.
Want X-Men in the MCU.
It's not. If they do, I don't trust them.
It has to happen eventually.
It will.
All I can do is hope. I can hope they get good directors on it. Because I mean, I know the Spider-Man films are made by primarily Sony teams, but holy fuck, they're great.
But yeah, that will be a different video for sure, talking about what Marvel should do next. But for all in all, for this movie, 7.5 for you.
A 6.5 to a 7 from you.
Yeah.
It's a pretty damn good movie. You should watch it.
Yeah.
If you are excited about theaters opening and you just want to go watch one of the 3 or 4 new movies that are out, I would recommend... Well, I would recommend this one. There is another one I will recommend that will be in a different review.
And I think we can both say this without a doubt. We 100% recommend Unhinged starring Russell Crowe.
Yeah, okay, let me tell you something. Don't watch I haven't watched Unhinged. I won't watch Unhinged. It looks like the most boomer fucking movie.
I kind of want to see it, though. I kind of want to see how bad it is.
This movie was made for people born during the Vietnam War.
That's a whole other thing I kind of want to get into. But, all in all, good movie. You guys should see it if you like Marvel, or if you like X-Men. Go fucking see it. Don't listen to reviews. Fucking 50%. When I don't fucking.
Or if you're tired of MCU bog standard superhero movies,
this is really refreshing.
If you want something with superheroes, but you want something that's not generic, it won't be imitated 60 times.
Yeah. Like, this is
great.
truly a unique superhero film, and I'm definitely buying it on a Blu-ray. So that'll be all for today's review. Excuse me. I hope you all guys hope you guys, gals, and everyone in between have an amazing day and have a very positive evening, noon, day, morning, night, whatever you're doing.
Remember that we love you.
Remember that we love you. From the two cat dads. You guys have a good day. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Also subscribe, maybe.
Yeah.